Greetings, my beloved earlenders. Welcome back to Imagination Station. It's your favorite author, Lisa Walker McCrae, with another compelling story time from the pages of my novel, A Peculiar Kind of Love. Remember, you guys, this video is for entertainment purposes only. First and foremost, big praise to the Most High Yah, and for you all that are still chiming in, much love and appreciation to you all. Now, are y'all ready to dive into those imaginations and turn some pages? Well, let's get into it. Clarence, set the stage. Okay, loves, quick recap. On our last trip into our imaginations, we left Drew with a new revelation that everything going on in her life had been Yah trying to get her attention. She understood that Yah was demanding her time, and obediently, Drew was more than willing to give him the time requested. As for Marcus, we're not sure what's going on with our boy. We left him stuck, unable to move when Judge Horn gave the verdict and sentence for his actions. I'm so glad to see you guys are back. This chapter, Changing and Rearranging, definitely has a story to tell. So, let's get into it. Fortunately, we catch up with Drew, boiling over with excitement, watching Carl as he put the finishing touches on the handcrafted sign he'd made for her. The March winds blew through her hair. The sun kissed her face. Drew's happiness had come with a price, not afforded with money. It had a significant cost that required obedience, time, effort, sacrifices, and tons of emotional energy. As for Drew, it was all worth it. It's absolutely beautiful, Carl, Drew yelled out, jumping up and down with joy. She then read the handcrafted sign out loud. Serenity Meadows Bed and Breakfast, established 2011. This was a proud moment for Drew. She'd finally gotten enough courage to quit Cambridge and start a business of her own. Congratulations to our girl. Yes, as you guys can see, it's been 3 years and there's definitely been a lot of changing and rearranging. Anywho, Drew ran across the road and looked the Victorian home over. She absolutely loved the renovations Carl had done. The home didn't need that much work to begin with, so the work Carl had put in made the home even more sophisticated. Not only was her father a blue-collar gentleman and an Army vet, but he was also a skilled craftsman and carpenter. Carl got them skills, huh? He turned Drew's dream into reality. What do you think, baby girl? Carl yelled out at Drew. She jumped with even more excitement. It's perfect, Carl, Drew yelled back. Carl's completion on the sign was just in time. Serenity Meadows' grand opening was in a couple of months, and it was one of the million things Drew could now mark off her list of things to do. Drew then hurried back across the road, joining her father. She rubbed the engraved bouquet of flowers that hugged the words Serenity Meadows. Carl smiled at her delight. He then apologized for it taking so long with the sign, further explaining to Drew with him selling the business and moving out to Promise, it had cramped him for time. It's okay, Daddy. I knew you would come through. Drew blessed Carl with a kiss on the cheek. Carl was smitten. Drew had never addressed him as Dad before. He eyed her, his heart melted. Drew smiled at the blushing look on Carl's face. What's wrong? She asked, side-eyeing her father. Carl blushed even more, informing Drew her calling him Daddy took him by surprise. Drew hugged Carl. Well, why not? You have proven yourself to be just that, my daddy. Awesome. Everything seems to be going well for Drew. There's been a lot of changing and rearranging, as you can see. Drew and Carl seem to have gotten closer, and our girl has her own business now. That's what I'm talking about. Yay, Drew. Or should I say glory to Yah. Won't he do it? Yes. Let's see what else he's done within this village. 3 years, there's bound to be more changes, right? And there was. Jay is experiencing one of them right now, sitting at the Shelby County Detention Center waiting for the guards to bring Marcus up. There y'all have it. Our friend Marcus has been doing the time for his crime. Changing and rearranging. Anyway, while sitting there, Jay observed the writing on the wall. He could see people had too much time on their hands during visitation. Jay unnoticeably cringed his nose. The smell of mildew, piss, and grief assured him there was no way he could survive the harsh conditions of imprisonment. Jay then fixed his eyes on a couple of kids who were keeping themselves entertained with prison pamphlets and a rusted water fountain. He couldn't understand how people could bring kids to a place like this. It was depressing. Although Jay had visited the misery a million times, each time made him more depressed. He hated Marcus had to endure this. Jay took a moment and asked y'all to keep him, Gabe, and anyone else connected to him from ever having to go through the animalistic treatment. Moments passed, prison locks sounded. The standing guard called the first 10 names, which included Jay. He followed the group into the visitation area. The small square cubicle housing a mounted circular stool awaited Jay's presence. He sat there a moment before the guards brought Marcus in. Taking a seat in front of Jay, Marcus grabbed the phone receiver. "How's Drew?" he asked. This was always the first thing he'd ask when Jay came. Marcus had been in jail almost 3 years, and Drew hadn't been to see him once. "Drew's doing fine. How are you?" Jay asked. He didn't like to spend a lot of time on Drew. He knew it hurt Marcus that she hadn't reached out. Although Jay tried time and time again to convince Drew to go see him, she just wouldn't budge. Marcus touched his heart, then put his fist to the glass. "Take my love to her?" "I always do," Jay replied. He didn't want to have this conversation, so he changed the subject. Jay asked Marcus how they were treating him. Marcus took a deep breath. He told Jay he couldn't complain, that he was thankful to still be alive. "You know me, bro. I'm gonna always make the best of it." Marcus gave Jay an encouraging smile. He then enlightened his time had been easy, spending it every day getting closer to Yah and trying to educate as many brothers as he could on the inside about their heritage and the teachings of the Old Testament. "That's what's up, bro. Tap into that purpose," Jay encouraged, nodding his head in agreement. "Hun, tease. Looked like to me Drew wasn't the only one who got a tap on their shoulder. Our boy Marcus seemed to have gotten that same tap, which required a bit of an isolation. In turn, it's allowing Marcus to be able to walk in his purpose." Yah has a funny way of doing things like this, and the only thing you can do is ask for guidance and obedience and comply. That's my sermon. Back to the story. So Marcus asked Jay how his parents were because they hadn't been to see him in a couple of months. Marcus's parents would usually visit him once a month, alternating weeks between Jay and Michael. They would also call every 3 days. Marcus's parents wanted to visit more, but the trip to Green Tree, Texas was a 3-hour drive, and that was a bit much mentally and physically for the Tidwells. They just couldn't make the trip as often as their heart desired. Jay told Marcus his parents were fine and they sent their love. He then informed Marcus his dad had been sick. "Is he good?" Marcus asked, informing Jay his mother didn't say anything about it when he spoke with her the other day. Marcus started to become a little concerned. Jay assured Marcus his father was okay, it was just a little stomach bug. Marcus let out a sigh of relief. Jay could see Marcus's thoughts needed to be on something else. "Let's get down to business," he said, pulling out a folder from the leather satchel he carried. FYI, Jay and Michael had taken control over Marcus's business assets for now. Michael took care of the shop and Jay took care of the livestock. Anyway, Jay opened a folder laying the information before Marcus. "These are the Q1 reports," he informed. Marcus looked the reports over. Nodding his head, our boy was pleased to see the shop and livestock investments were profiting. Marcus smiled. Bro, I really appreciate you taking care of things for me. It's the middle of March and the books are already showing second quarter profits. Jay smiled. Marcus told Jay those investments he talked him into were really paying off and the numbers looked great. Jay took a deep dive into Marcus's soul, which questioned him. Jay spoke. She's doing good, bro. Drew is fine, he assured. Then he informed Marcus she was almost finished with the renovations on the Victorian home and was getting ready for the grand opening of Serenity Meadows. Marcus smiled, recalling the first time Drew mentioned the bed and breakfast. He looked down at Drew resting in the barber chair as he massaged her temple. She went on and on about her heart's desires, the B&B being one of them. You good? Jay asked, noticing Marcus's drift. Marcus faded the memory, clearing his throat. He then spoke. Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy for her. And Marcus was genuinely happy for her. But the changing and rearranging Drew explored had our boy a little worried. Marcus eyed Jay. Can I ask you something and you be honest with me? It's 1,000 over here, Jay replied. Marcus asked had Drew moved on. Now, it's a lot I can say right now, but we're going to keep it moving. No, I'm going to say it. Marcus, Drew is not your business anymore. You forfeited those rights when you acted off emotions instead of wisdom. I'm just saying. Now, moving forward. It's the day of the grand opening and we find Drew posing with Mayor Stone for the article in the Promise-A. The Promise-A was the local newspaper. It seems as though Serenity Meadows had become an overnight commodity. The turnout was great. Not only had the Promise locals came out, but a few Shiloh City friends were also in attendance. Todaya, Drew said to herself, looking at all the guests. She could only be grateful for all he'd done. The Tates were also a big help, being general board members of the Chamber of Commerce. And the word of mouth, Miss Sue had that covered. But Drew herself knew if it hadn't been for Yah putting her in the path of people that could open up doors, none of it could have been possible. And just like that, Yah put her in position. Tell me he won't do it. Anyway, Drew's thoughts drifted back 3 years, sitting in front of the Shiloh City Courthouse, waiting for her happiness. It was then she realized her happiness would never arrive if she didn't start acknowledging Yah and put him first. So, what did Drew do? What actions did she take? Well, I'll tell you. Our girl started a courtship with Yah. She spent every day in the Word, every day praying. If Drew wasn't praying, she was praising. Open conversation and intimacy had come natural and needed for Drew. There wasn't a day she hadn't sought Yah with her whole heart. Consistency had leveled her up from a courtship to an all-out love affair. Drew loved and trusted Yah more than she ever had before. Drew's attention was summoned. Miss McCain, Mayor Stone yelped out with his arms extended. He embraced Drew, praising her on such a nice turnout. I must say you've done a fantastic job with Serenity Meadows. I can't wait for the tour. Mayor Stone let out a countrified over-the-top laugh, all while checking Drew out. Drew gifted him a pleasant smile. She then thanked him, adding it was her pleasure to share a part of her with Promise. This had been one of my heart's desires for a long time, Drew informed. With an interested eye, Mayor Stone thanked Drew for sharing a part of herself with the Promise community. He then complimented the Victorian home was almost as beautiful as a woman who desired it. Dumbfounded and a bit confused, Drew didn't know if the mayor was pushing up on her or was just being nice. He pushing up on you, honey. Either way, Drew politely gave him a soft smile, then moved on. See, Drew wasn't no fool, and she wholeheartedly believed in the words of Betty Wright. You can't show your teeth to every guy you meet, huh? Mary Stone tapped the microphone, then cleared his throat, asking everyone's attention. The guest started a round of applause. He raised his hand to calm them. Isn't he the sexiest man you ever did see? Dean nudged Drew, eyeing the mayor. With a soft pinch, Drew told Dean to hush. Ouch! Dean rubbed the sting. Drew chuckled, looking at the expression on Dean's face. Stop it. He's the mayor, Drew reminded. Still rubbing the sting, Dean whispered, Who cares? He's single and gorgeous. Mayor Robert Stone was a 40-year-old distinguished gentleman standing about 6'3". He was a tall glass of chocolate milk most women in promise would describe. For Dean, this man was the perfect match for Drew. He had charisma and good looks. A smart man with a good head for business and leadership. And the win, he had no kids, which meant no baby mama. Dean had no understanding. She could feel Mary Stone's vibes from miles away that he was interested. But here stood Drew nonchalant to his attraction. Dean shook her head, focusing her attention back on Mary Stone, who was now thanking everyone on behalf of Promise for coming out showing their support for Drew. He went on to say she'd done an excellent job with the B&B, and he remembered delivering groceries with his father back when the Coopers owned the home. I tell you, this place has never looked better, Mary Stone stated with laughter. The guests laughed along. Mary Stone continued. He thanked Drew once again for sharing a piece of herself with the Promise community. He then encouraged the Promise community to share a part of themselves with Drew by welcoming her and Serenity Meadows to the community. Drew's social anxiety whispered. She started to get nervous. There were only a few people in Promise that she associated with, and they were the Tates, the Tidwells, Miss Sue, and her father. Most of these people didn't even know her, therefore didn't have to accept her or Serenity Meadows. Stop biting your lip, Dean nudged Drew, encouraging everything was okay and to embrace her shine day. Mayor Stone held out his hand. Without further ado, the owner of this great establishment, Miss Julian McCain. The guests openly welcomed Drew. She was amazed at how the small town accepted her. Drew smiled gratefully standing behind the podium, warmth running through her veins, her heart beat a melody of thankfulness. Drew's lifelong dream had come to life, and she had the support of the entire town. Changing and rearranging. Things have definitely changed and been rearranged in this village, and we're all for it. Unfortunately, this is our story time, but fortunately, on our next trip into our imaginations, we'll reveal more changes that were necessary for the rearranging process. Until then, register this. Never respond to an insult. The main purpose for people who insult you is to make you act without thinking, frustrate them with your silence, and shock them with your success. Alright? Y'all bless this reading in yourselves. Smooches!